Ever have one of them days where you have a ton of little things to get done that should have been done months ago, or at least a month ago? Yeah, me neither.
I'd say it's a nut job.
So when we put the wagon together for Power Tour, or spruced it up for Power Tour, one of the things that we had done was bought 4 new wheels for the car because it was still set up just like it was when I done drag week in 23. So it had 275/60s on the back and little 4.5 inch wide skinnies on the front. I wasn't doing drag week with, I wasn't doing Power Tour with skinnies on the front. So we bought 4 wheels and 2 tires. Went ahead and swapped out the front wheels and tires and done Power Tour. I hadn't put the rear wheels on the car yet. So we're gonna run to the I can't talk today. We're gonna run to the tire shop now and get the 275/60 street tires put on the new wheels so that we got 4 matching wheels. I know some people it probably doesn't pay any attention, but it absolutely drives me nuts. That car has 2 different sets of wheels on it. I know there's more important things to worry about. I know there's more important things to do to the car itself, but it drives me nuts. And I was working on the car at 7:30 on Friday morning, and we left for Power Tour at like 9:30. So I just ran out of time. We got all the important stuff done. All the mechanical stuff was done and was fine because the car made 2,600 miles and we never had to put a single tool on it drivetrain wise. Won't get into the rest of it. You know the story. But now it's time to just do a few little things to that wagon that wagon needs to be taken care of. I don't use the pump here on Saturday. They work the shit out of these boys on Saturday. A lot better. Well, so now I got new wheels. I got tires put on them. Now I got to go get lug nuts because when I put the front ones on, I didn't buy enough to do all 4. And since I changed the wheels, they now use a conical seat lug nut instead of the long shanked lug nut that I used on those center lines. So it's a never ending cycle. It's never just one thing when you change something, right? Upside, just heard about a cruise in tonight. So plans have changed and we're going to wash the wagon up, clean the wagon up, and probably just go to the cruise in tonight. I'm anxious to see how these wheels fit because, as some of you know from videos I made in the past about issues, the wheel that's on the back of it, I ran air shocks because if you hit a bump in the road, they would very slightly rub on the outside wall of the tire. Barely rub. So when I bought these new wheels, I bought them with a different offset so that hopefully it now sets the wheel in more toward the inside of the car, and now I won't have the rubbing issue. The air shocks will stay on the back of it just because they're on there. It's not like I'm gonna change them, but I won't have the rubbing issues, so the air shocks don't matter as much. So now it'll be more for aesthetics of getting a, rake like you want, instead of, oh, we have to put this much air in them, because if we don't, then we're gonna get a rub every time we hit a bump in the road. Well, I'm an O'Reilly's guy. I always have been, but well, at least since they've been around. But O'Reilly's was out of lug nuts. I'm not sure how you sell out of lug nuts. So I gotta come here now. Never had much luck here. That was my first experience like that. I swear, I see the memes all the time. I laugh about them, but that's my first experience. I think I scratched my eye. That's my first experience like that. I walked in there. I need 1/2 by 20 lug nuts. We can't look them up by that. We have to know year, make, and model. I said, well, here's a part number. They're 1/2 by 20. We can't do that. Even if we knew where they were in the store, we have to put year, make, and model in, or we can't actually ring it up. Wait, what? Well, put in any random year, make, and model. I don't give a shit. I'm telling you what part number they are. I'm telling you where they are. Okay, so I said 1968 Ford Mustang, because, well, that's easy, right? It's not showing any for a 68 Ford Mustang. Is there any other vehicle that would use that? I said, well, every Ford that I know of used them till everything started going metric. I said, when was that? Like 2000, something like that? So any Ford below that. So he looks up 4 different Ford vehicles with no lug nuts in stock, and he finally finds some for like a 1980 something Ford truck that are 1/2 by 20. Every one of these vehicles are 1/2 by 20 that he looked up. Why were they saying out of stock for some vehicles and not for the others? I don't even understand right now what's going on. Oh my God. I feel dumber for having walked into this store. So the same size wheel, 15 by 8, 8.5, 15 by 8.5. Same size tire, 275, 60, 15. But now it's tucked up inside the fender, or a quarter panel, tucked up inside the quarter panel instead of sticking out from the quarter panel. All in the backspacing. I'm actually out of good car wash stuff, so I just sprayed it off with some water. Spray all the loose junk off of it that's laid on it, leaves and sticks and whatever. Old girl looks good like that, don't she? Yeah. With the matching wheels on it. So if anybody's interested, it now has, sorry about the wind, it now has two 225 60 15 on the front, 275 60 15 on the rear, and the offset on these rear wheels are perfect. wheel is under the quarter panel, so you don't have to worry about any rubbing issues. Offset is perfect. Let's talk about offset and how to figure out what you need. So let's talk wheel backspacing. I'm going to use these wheels as an example because, well, they're laying here. And again, the wind doesn't blow till I start recording. I apologize, guys. I got so much shut in the garage I can't get in there. But to measure backspacing, why can I not talk? To measure backspacing, take the front of the wheel, lay it face down, get you a straight edge, and lay across this surface. Measure from this flange right here up to your straight edge. That gives you the backspacing. How does that relate to your wheel? Say this is your wheel right here and your wheel opening is over here, and this is, let's say, a 4.5 inch backspacing, and it sits right here. Well, if this is 4.5 inch backspacing and you go to say a 4 inch backspacing, it means this barrel is now closer, or the center is now closer to the rim right here. And if it's closer back there, that means it pushes the wheel out. You understand what I'm saying? So the smaller the number on your backspacing, the more you push the wheel out. If this was a 5 inch, then the wheel would go in. And I'm pulling these numbers out of the air so you can understand drastic. The wheel would go in if it's 5 inch, because now that center flange is further this way, so it sinks the wheel in further. You understand what I'm saying? That's how you measure backspacing. And how that applies to the car is, on this particular car, the backspacing was in a way that the wheel was out here, so it would rub here if you hit a bump. That's the reason I ran air shocks. Now, with the backspacing moved in on it, the wheel is clear of this. So now no matter where it moves, there's room in here now, even without the air shocks. So backspacing is something you got to pay attention to. Other than backspacing, these are the same size wheels, 15 by 8.5. Same tire. It's actually the tire that came off the other rims. Same exact tire, 275/60/15. I don't remember what the backspacing was on the other wheels. I really don't. But this is a 4.5 inch backspace on these wheels. So with a 4.5 inch backspace, the wheel set perfect in the wheel well. When picking wheels and tires, something you need to pay attention to is the backspace of your wheel and the size tire you want to run. You need to measure from inside your wheel well to the outside of your wheel well. And you need to measure where your axle sits. And once you get those numbers, you can kind of ballpark around and figure out what your backspacing should be. There's a lot of online calculators and stuff you can use that will help you with this, but it's really not that difficult to understand and figure out. If you got anything that's straight and you know it's straight and a tape measure, you can do wheel backspacing. Not really a big deal at all. All right, I'm gonna try to do this with one hand, but something else you got to consider here. Let's say this is the wheel. More like a go-kart wheel, don't it? Okay, let's say this is your wheel, and we talked about backspacing here and how the number, that number that you measure from the back to the back surface of that is your backspacing. So now the easy thing to do would be say, okay, go out and say, oh well, you know, my tire hits just a little bit right here, so if I moved it in a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch or something, I'm good. I don't have to worry about it no more. It's not always true. Now on the Wagon, because it has a wide quarter panel out here and the inside wheel well on it is very squared off, I don't have to worry about anything. The tire up in here, no matter where it's at, it fits. But your suspension travel up and down, you have to think about that when you do this. If your wheel well, a lot, especially more modern cars, have a very rounded wheel well. And if that is the case and you measure for backspacing, even on the outside, some of the wheel wells now look like this. They're not very squared off, they're very round. So now you've got to measure to make sure with suspension travel, you're not hitting in here, or you're not hitting right in here in this area, because it may fit inside the quarter panel. It may physically fit in here. But if you get your offset to where it's really close back here, then all of a sudden when your suspension travels, you're hitting the corner of your wheel well. So you got to also make sure when you do this, you know how the suspension travels, where it travels, and what's in the way. So they make a tool for this. It bolts to the flange of the brakes or the drum or disc or whatever you're running. It has an arm that comes up, and it has a arm on top that extends. Again, with the wind as soon as I start talking. And that works well. A lot of companies make them. Eastwood makes them. There's other companies that make them, and they work very well. But they're not the cheapest thing to buy. Now, a workaround around this, and you're going to have to spend more time, so you don't want to trade time or money, one of the two, is to take you a tire that is not mounted to a wheel. Take just a tire that you want to fit in there, like a 275 60/15, and set it with no rim on it. Set it over your rear axle. In this case, we're talking about the rear end. You can do it with the front too, but set it over your rear axle and set it in there so that it clears everything. You know it's going to clear everything. And then take your tape measure and measure, you know, where your wheel width is, what your offset is, your backspacing is, and you can measure all that. It will get you close. It's not going to be perfect because tires squat and everything when weight's on them. So it's not going to get you perfect, but it'll get you close. But backspacing will save you a lot of headache in a long run if you're buying new wheels. I rarely ever buy new wheels. I'm a Facebook marketplace guy, so I usually find them off marketplace. But for this car, I wanted new wheels for it. So as I said, we got the fronts first, and then we got the rears. So now we have them all on here. But hopefully that helps everyone understand a little bit about backspacing. That being said, later this week you'll see a video come out where we will be back to work on the Jeep. The Jeep will be back in the shop. The Jeep CJ project will be back in the shop. Videos for that should be coming into the week. I think we're going to go out and do a little cruise in with the wagon, end the day that way. And you know, this is just a day in the life around here. You know, one of those things where it's not the most thrilling day, not the most thrilling stuff happens, but again, this is just normal life around here where we're having to figure out things like this, backspacing, lug nuts, all that, just to do a simple tire change. God bless you guys. Hope Lord bless you more today than He did yesterday. Hey, listen, if you have not went back and watched the video, remember we are giving away an F100 truck. Go back and watch that video. See all the details there. We'll see you on the next one.
I'd say it's a nut job.